Hello folks, and welcome back to the channel. Together with these great partners, we are able to bring you quality information to help you reach your whitetail habitat goals quicker but more proficiently. Northwoods Whitetails, Plot Doctor, Harper Growing Solutions, Scent Thief, Real Wood Productions, Ace Hardware of Harrodsburg, Kentucky. As you guys know, I'm no longer a Tactacam dealer, but still using them here in central Kentucky. And what I've got, guys, is I went to deploy my cameras this year. I always like to try to get them out, mid-June or 4th of July weekend. And I went to deploy them. Had 2 or 3 of them that wouldn't start. They wouldn't turn on. Found out I had actually a bad batch of brand new batteries out of the package, so that's one thing to keep in mind. So I was using the lithiums, the Energizer lithiums. I switched and went to the Energizer Max, and those cameras powered up. But I had a couple that when you get to them, and to send you the test picture, right, I always like to do is aim that where I need to do, or where I want it, licking branch, mineral, water hole, or whatever, and send myself a test picture, and it wasn't sending them. So I thought, man, so out of 20 that I own, 7 of them had this problem. I thought, what the heck? So I called out to Tactacam and Ethan there, a young man that's helped me before. Highly recommend if you're needing help, reach out to Ethan. He's done great things, such as others have helped me out in the past. Asked, kind of told him what was going on. He said, I think you should try an update on your cameras before you send them in. So guys, I've got about half X's and I've got about half X 2.0s. So this video is just that. We're going to go over today, guys, to let you know what I did, because I found a couple things I wanted to let you know about, and it cured a couple things that I was having problems with last fall, and also them not starting this spring or this summer, right? So I'm going to go ahead here. I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to give you pointers, guys, on what I do when updating these. It's not, they say it's optional, it's not required, right? But my cameras are now live when they weren't before. I couldn't get them to connect or get them to connect before I did the update, so now they're connecting. So do you need it? Do you not? I don't know. But if it's out there, might as well do it, right? So I'm going to turn you around here, guys. I'm going to show you what I've done. So first of all, a couple things. So I have the X and I have the X 2.0s, right? So if you have a Reveal X, this X is going to be gone. It's just going to say Reveal on your camera. So then you have just the Reveal X. If you have, it says X, you're going to have the Reveal X 2.0. So this one, because the X is here, is a X 2.0. So I have the camera off right now, guys, but what I'm going to show you is so the SD card, the original SD card, is in there. I walked up to this one. I know this one needs the update, so I flipped it on to the setup mode, and what you'll see is, I'm going to show you here kind of a signal. After doing these updates, my signals got better as well, so I'm going to show you kind of as we go along here to kind of prove it to you on this one. Hopefully it does this as well. So you're going to see the status light is green, guys. SD card is there, lit up green, and your service is blinking. So we're going to let this sink in so we know what the service is. So I got 2 bars. It shows me 2 green bars, right? Make sure that before you do this updates, guys, huge deal. They had mentioned this in there, and I had one that had 3 bars, and I said, well, it'll be good enough, and it kind of kicked out, and luckily it didn't cause a problem. But make sure that your camera is on full batteries. The reason is mine's on full batteries because I've got my solar panel hooked to it, right? Make sure you got full batteries, guys, going into this. So here we are, right, needing the firmware update. How do we know what firmware that we need? Is the X 2.0s only have one firmware update that you can possibly do. So it's the link that they'll send you is actually the Reveal X 2.0. That's the firmware. What you can do is you stand next to it here, to check and make sure that yours didn't, you know, the end of the season didn't update or something. But if you haven't physically done it yourself, I doubt that it's done. But you take your camera or your phone, stand next to it, and you go into your Wi-Fi settings. Make sure your Wi-Fi setting is on. I updated mine, so I've got the new app. Go down to the lower right hand corner. It says account. Click on account, and then it'll say connect to my my Reveal. So you click connect, and you're standing next to it with the door open. You've got the camera connected, the Wi-Fi connected to it. Just follow the links, press OK, continue, and it's going to come up to the mode that shows you your camera is live with the red mark through the center of it. You want to put that red mark where your target point is. So like if you've got a deer coming up to a licking branch or a you know, a licking branch or a mineral site or whatever, so it's not way over their head or way below them. You want to make sure they trip that red line. So then what you do is, what I would recommend is you look at your firmware. Look at the end of your firmware. If the last four don't end in D404 or D502, you know that your update is not the latest, right? So what you're going to do when you're on that app right there, or the app right there, right, go down and it'll say format SD card. What you want to do is make sure you load all your pictures that you have on there. Make sure you save them somewhere else, but you want to make sure that you've got them saved. What I always do at this time of the year, guys, is I format my cards, delete everything off from them so it's clean. Even though I have the loop on that deletes them as they go, it's faster. The camera acts quicker, I think, if the SD card is clean, right, or not a bazillion pictures on it. So format the SD card. Then what you do, guys, is you're going to go on to the website. You're going to have the link here that you're going to reach out to them, and they're going to send you the link. You're going to go to type in, you know, firmware updates for the X and the X 2.0s, and you can find the links. So you're going to go down through there, and where it shows you and teaches you how to load that firmware. So you're going to load that to your computer, to your laptop. I tried to do it on my iPad, doesn't work. I had to go to the neighbors or my good friend down the road here, and we used his laptop. And what I did is, so you make sure that there's four, I think, to each one, four pages, right, that have to be not in a file. They have to be loaded right to the card. So make sure you take them, drag and drop them out of that file, put them right to the SD card that's shown on your USB port or on that computer. Dump them in there. This is what I did, guys. Instead of doing this for each camera, right, taking that and taking a camera up, taking the card, putting it in, putting it out, going through 20 of them, what I did is I took and I downloaded. So this one is only one for the X 2.0s, right? So I downloaded that, and I put a piece of tape on it, and I downloaded that all to one card, all to one 32 gig card, Tactacam card. And I put a piece of tape on it, and I saved that card. So then what I did is I took that card and I updated the cameras, each camera separately from that card. Now, the X, if you walk up to your camera and this just says Reveal, then you just have an X. You don't have a 2.0, you have an X. That actually has two different updates. So you'll have to go into your app, connect to the Wi-Fi, go into where you see the red arrow where you can line your camera up, and it'll say firmware. So if the last four of that on your X's doesn't say CA01, then you know that it's not updated. But what you got to find is go to the first, that's the last four letters, right? Go to the first four numbers or letters and numbers of that. And when you're on that app, right, if you have this X, and it'll say 4 or 5, it'll start with the number 4 or the number 5. You have to know which one that camera is, because like half of my X cameras were 4s and half of mine were 5s, right? So make a note which one that camera is. So let's say it's a 4, starts with a 4. You know that it needs that firmware update that starts with a 4 on that site that you downloaded. So you download 4 to one card, you download 5 to another card. So when you get to the camera, you know which one that needs, right? So take the card that's labeled, I labeled them X 2.0 because it's only got one. Then I labeled the other one X 4, and I labeled the other one X 5. So when I got in there and I walk up here to the tree to update these cameras, I know which one it needs. So I'll show you. This is my card carrier that I've got, guys. And if you don't have one, I highly recommend getting one. It's Simmons or something. But there's like 50, it holds up to like 50 cards. So what I've got is, I'll show you guys, is I took and I updated. So I've got one, it looks like it holds 40 cards. I updated one, it said 2023 2.0. The other, because it only has one. This one, the X, has 4 and it has 5. So I updated one that said 4, and then I put one, the 5 firmware, and on a card that says 5. So this is an X 2.0. So there's only one update for the X 2.0, right? So what I've done, I come over here, that card is in there, that original card is in. So I'm going to take the original card out. I'm going to hang on to that. I'm going to take the 2023 2.0 update. I'm going to put that in the camera. Then what we're going to do is, this is where the tricky part, doing it one-handed here, is going to come in. What you need to do is you need to press the test button and need to turn this to setup at the same time. So see if I can do this one-handed. So you press this, and you're going to press and hold this until that status light starts blinking green. As soon as that starts blinking green, you're going to let go of this. So test button in, turn this to setup, that starts blinking green, let it go, and your update is taking place. Do not shut it off. That's why you need to make sure your battery doesn't fail on you. Do not shut it off. That's going to run. It's going to keep blinking. It's going to continue to run. Some of mine took 30 seconds. Other ones took 3 minutes. We'll see how long this one takes. It's going to run. It's going to power the camera off. When it powers the camera off, it's going to boot the camera back on. And once it boots the camera back on, and all of these blinking lights stop flashing, you know that your update is complete. So we're going to let this one run. It shut off. It's rebooting itself. So the firmware update is complete right now, guys, because all of these lights quit flashing. But I want to see what because we had 2 bars before. We're going to see if this one actually gains another bar like some of my other ones have. Bar of service. So we're going to let it connect, and we're going to let it find itself. And it's got 2 bars. So this one kept a 2-bar status, which the other one's a little green, so I don't know if that means like 2.5 or what, but it did stay pretty much 2 lit up. So what we're going to do, guys, is you take this card, so you turn this back to off. Now your update is complete. So what I'm going to do is I shut the camera off. That card, that update card is in there, right? I'm going to take that out. Make sure you take this out before you do this next step. Take it out. Put the original the card that you started with the camera with back in. I'm going to turn it to setup. It's going to be on. Everything's up and running. I'm going to go into the app. And before I leave here, I'm going to go into the app, and I'm going to go to where it says format that SD card. If you didn't do it before, make sure you don't do it with this one, because if you format this one, all your files are gone for your update. So then you don't have it for the rest of your cameras. Only do it on the other one. So you do a a photo dump, if you will, right? Or you format your SD card, and you're off and running. So this one is updated and ready to go. So remember, guys, there's actually 2 updates determined by, so download them both, because if you have multiple cameras, you don't know which one's which. So have a 4 and a 5. Figure out if your camera has firmware 4 or 5 on it, and then update the new one with that new card, right? So that one has 2. The X's have 2 firmware updates. Could be one or the other. And the X 2.0s only have 1. So I hope this helps, guys. This is the way I updated my cameras this year. And if you share this video, maybe this helps somebody else that is running the Tactacams. Thanks, guys.